Hey everybody, glad to see you. Today we are going to be talking about the 5 cons and the 5 pros of homeschooling. Now I'm sure there's many more, but those are the main ones that we found for us, and when talking with other families, these are the main pros and cons that come up when we're talking about homeschooling. Now let's go with the bad news first. Now when we're talking about cons, these are usually things that people think of as negative. In my mind, even when something's negative, it's a growth aspect too, because it's pushing you to the next level. So I don't know if it's necessarily totally a bad thing that these are struggles with homeschooling. But I am going to point them out just so that if you're starting out, you're aware of it. And if you're right in the thick of it and these things are coming up, you know it's totally normal and it's nothing to worry about, because we're going to give you some skills in the upcoming videos of how to overcome these struggles and work with these things that we are given as homeschoolers. Now, one of the main cons that we come into contact with all of the time, especially because I am an introvert and I love my quiet alone time. I love it so much. But when you are constantly together as a family, because you're homeschooling, your kids are not going anywhere, and after that you take them to their activities, you are with your family almost all the time. And it can be a real struggle, right? Because then you're aware of all the annoying things that happen and everybody's constantly asking you for things. But don't worry, we will give you some tools and some upcoming videos about how you can work through this. But that's one of the major things people come up with is, I love my family, I want to be together more, but it is also hard to be together all the time. So that's con number 1. Con number 2 is the load that comes with homeschool, because I know we like to outsource. We are in a world of technology. We are in a world of making things easier, right? And convenience. And so when you take on homeschooling, you are taking on the full load of your family's education. Now, is that a wonderful thing? You are totally in control? Absolutely. Is it a very hard and overwhelming thing sometimes? Yes, it is. I know for myself, there have been days that I've thought, what in the world was I thinking? I should have just given this to someone else. I need to outsource this. But then I think of all the benefits that we're going to talk about later, and it is so worth it to be responsible for these things, because you also are going to be more in control. But like I said, we're also going to give you some tools and some later videos about how to relieve this mental load and feel, yes, I'm responsible, but I am not carrying that whole entire homeschool load by myself. But that is con number 2, that load that comes with homeschooling, knowing you are fully in charge of your family's education now. Number 3, role switching. This is when we're going from the role of career. I am now a career woman. Now I am a mom. Now I am a wife. Now I am a teacher. Now I'm putting the teacher role on top of it. And that is probably one of the biggest questions I get asked all the time. How do you switch from mom role to teacher role to then working at work and then going to be a wife and all of these different roles? We're always told that women wear many hats, right? But I heard this great quote recently in one of the women's conferences I attended that says, yes, women wear many hats, but we don't have to wear them all at the same time. But I think this is one that I struggle with almost as much as having my quiet time, because my husband sometimes will be like, okay, teacher, but I'm not in your class because I haven't switched from teacher role to wife role and I'm being a little bossy. So I know this is one I struggle with too, but there are ways to work through it, I promise. The next one is what I call the learning curve. Whenever you are doing anything new, you are going to have this time where you feel like you're here and you need to be up here and you have to climb that escalator. It's not really an escalator, it's more like chugging up that hill. It's hard sometimes. You have that learning curve of where you have to figure some stuff out, right? When you get a new job, when you go into a new class, when you went from high school to college, you know about learning curves, right? When you left the house for the first time and you're not a kid anymore, you're an adult. These are learning curves, right? We think we know things logically, but then when you're thrown into it, you're like, oh, this is a little bit tougher than I thought it was, and I really have no idea what I'm doing. But that is okay. It is okay that you feel that way. It is normal that you feel that way. And yes, it's true, it's hard. There are some things you are going to have to learn, and you're going to have to adapt to your family. That is one of the beauties of homeschooling, because you can adapt to your family the way you want to. And we will talk about that in some later videos too, of how to make this learning curve shorter, not as big of a climb, and to be able to adapt to your family so that you feel that you are confident in this role as a homeschooler. Now, the fifth one is hard. It is hard, guys, because this is stuff that's going to come from internally and externally. This is when we're talking about haters, right? This is cultural adaptation. This is the things that we tell ourselves and other people tell us, and also people just not being empathetic to the way we want to live our lives. We will hear this in the form of people saying, well, what about socialization? Or do your kids have any friends? Or are you some of those weird homeschoolers? Or, well, you aren't qualified to teach your kids, are you? Or how are your kids going to be able to be successful in life and be able to go to college? Or are you sure you can do all this? All these negative things that people are constantly asking us, family, friends, even sometimes we ask ourselves, right? Can we actually do this? Am I enough? Well, guess what? You are enough. And yes, you can do this. And I'm sorry if I get a little bit emotional here, but I know that when you feel you are called to homeschool your children, that is divine calling. That is something that you are going to have more than enough help with, because it is part of your potential, it's part of your children's potential, it's part of your purpose and mission, and you are not alone in this. I'm going to help you, but you are going to have help beyond your own abilities, because you've been called to do this. If you feel that inkling down within you that, yes, I need to do this, then ignore the fears and take a step forward. Because yes, you are going to have haters. You're going to have people that question you, and you are going to question yourself. But you can do it, because you are enough and you are not alone. There are going to be times that homeschooling is hard because outside influences will not adapt and be empathetic to what you need. Sometimes I know here in Texas, the public schools will not work with us. When we want to do extracurricular activities, we cannot work with the public schools. In other states, they will. You're going to have difficulties. You're going to have things to work out. But you know what? You are going to find your groove. You're going to find what works for your unique situation and your family, because you feel this is right. And I want to be here to help you every step of the way. Now, let me tell you about some awesome, amazing, totally cool my kids would totally be rolling their eyes right now. Totally cool benefits of homeschooling. These are the 5 pros, guys. Let's end with the good news, right? Number 1 is flexibility. This is flexibility in everything, because you are totally in control of your whole entire family's education. That means you are in control of the timing, you are in control of the curriculum, you are in control of the themes that you cover and how you cover them, and you are able to change and pivot and adapt the way your family needs to. This is an amazing benefit, one that we've been so grateful for, because when we have a kid that struggles, which we've had every kid struggling with a different thing, but some major, huge struggles that we didn't think we were going to be able to get through, and some that they're going to have to deal with all of their lives. But we are able to adapt to that and show them how they learn and help them discover how their mind works, so that they can excel, that they can level up, and they can become what they want to be. Because they can find solutions. And that is another thing that I found with homeschooling, is because you're able to adapt and work it around your family, you are constantly looking for solutions, and that's what you're teaching your kids, that there is a solution. There is a way to improve things and find the things that you need and do what you need to do to get where you want to be. And when your kids have this mindset, they are proactive, they become independent learners, and they become more responsible. Now, of course, we're going to have those kids, and maybe even great kids that are usually doing great, but sometimes they dawdle, and sometimes they don't want to do school, and sometimes you are going to be at your wit's end and have no idea how to solve a certain problem. Believe me, I have been there. I have come to several points in my parenting and my homeschooling where I'm like, I have no idea. But you know what? Like we talked about with the cons, you're not alone. You have that calling, so you will have the help you need, you will have the inspiration you need, and your kids are going to work together with you. Your husband is going to work together with you because you are a team. Homeschooling creates teamwork, and that is another pro. We have the flexibility. We have your kids working proactively and looking for answers proactively, and you too as a family. We have your kids becoming more responsible because they know that to be able to homeschool, everyone's going to have to work as a team, and everyone has part of the pie that they have to eat, but also in a machine, a cog that's working with all the other cogs, so everything can work smoothly. Also, you're going to find more unity because you realize you're working as a team. You're working together and you're working towards a common goal, which is why we talk about vision so much in these videos, guys. So important to know where you're going. But also, the fifth one is because you can build that foundation in your family strong, the way you want it, and absolutely sure. So that foundation, your core beliefs for your family, you are going to be able to have more time to talk about it, more in-depth coverage of it, be able to work it into your curriculum. If you're a religious person, you can work your religion into your curriculum. If you're not religious but you're spiritual, you can work your spirituality into it. If you're nature-based, you can work nature into it because you are in charge. Because you are in charge, all these other benefits open up to you. And that is why I'm so passionate about this, because people think that you take school and you put it at home. But homeschooling is so much more than that. It's creating your family's vision and education and really working towards what you want to become and helping your kids gain those tools and gain those ways of learning and responsibility and proactiveness that they need to succeed. Can you do this without homeschool? Yes, there are people that can. Is it very hard in the world we live in today to be able to have the unity and teamwork and enough time as a family to really build that foundation? Yes, it is very difficult. But when you have homeschooling as your core, you are able to push away those distractions easier, to become more in control of your time and what education you are covering and how you are going to confront the problems in your life. So that's what I think are the major benefits of homeschooling. I know there's so many more. I would love to hear from you guys that are already homeschooling. What do you think are some cons and what do you think some pros are of homeschooling? And if you're not homeschooling, maybe from the outside, I'd love to hear from people that aren't doing it yet, things that they see that could be a con or could be a pro of homeschooling. So leave me some comments. Tell me what you think. Pros and cons of homeschooling. And tell me if you've been inspired today and if you feel, yes, I totally believe that too, or if you feel called to homeschooling. Why do you feel called to homeschooling? But definitely comment below. Be sure to like, subscribe, connect with me on Facebook and Instagram so we can be in contact and I can help you along your journey. So happy you're here, guys, and I'll see you soon.